Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs with Grant and Mike, myself, and tonight, special guest, Cole Sorensen, longtime friend, longtime listener of the pod, one of our first supporters. Cole, how are you?
Yeah, I mean, doing great, man. Yeah, I get to comment on my own, appearance now and say hell yeah in the comments. So looking forward to that. Hi, Mom.
No, we want to have Cole on here. He is from Chicago, so he's given us a little bit more holistic view of the basketball landscape because, boys, it's March. It's here. Selection Sunday was today. Wofford's going to get smacked, and we're all feeling pretty good.
Yeah, man, this is the best time of the year. We got March Madness, baseball starting, F1 just started.
Yep.
Can't knock it, man. This is the best.
F1 had a hot start. The race was crazy if no one saw it. It ended up raining the last 5-6 laps, and Ferrari totally bungled it.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
I was going to say that. I feel like it's pretty par for the course.
It's unbelievable how dumb they can be.
So
but
Cole,
cool to see Lando do it.
Or?
No, I think we get a lot of boos and hisses on this, but I'm a big Max fan, so it was awesome that he did great, but look, after I got into the sport when Lewis was dominating and Max was the next one up. So now I get it. He's the villain. He's evil empire now. But big Verstappen fan. So I'm happy to see him go.
Strong.
Yeah.
even through the down years like this year when he's not in first for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah, dude. I know. I feel terrible. Second place is unacceptable, man.
Place,
so,
that's tough.
But Lando's taking all the shine right now.
I'm a Carlos Sainz fan, so I'm still trying to decide if I'm transitioned to Williams or not.
That was sad for him.
I mean, that was yesterday. I was like, oh, if it could happen to Carlos, it could happen to me. Right? You watch that crash and you're like,
it's tough.
No words, right? You're just
to Williams, and we're part of the team at Williams instead of where we were at our previous stop.
That's literally what he would say.
Thank you,
Mike. You should totally just buy. Williams can be your midfield team. You can retain loyalties,
I thought about buying some Williams gear, but I just don't know if I can walk around in public with that on.
Dude, they might be back, man. Alvin looked good. They might be back. You never know.
For Cadillac.
Yeah, next year.
It's gonna be sick.
Cadillac. Just excited to be part of the team.
You have his voice down.
There you go. Thank you.
He's so good, but look, Albon got 5th today, so obviously the car's pretty fast.
Dude, I'm telling you, go buy our Williams stuff now. Buy the stock before starting out this.
The old Mercedes guy or young Mercedes guy running it.
I'm a believer, man. I was after watching, if anybody watched Drive to Survive, you were like, this team is a disaster. They'll never go back to where they were. With all the new financial regulations and everything, and the way they looked this weekend, I was like, they might be back. Williams Dark Horse might be a thing.
Yeah, they're basically the Western Carolina of F1 at that point. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't win any games.
That's an interesting analogy, Grant.
But if Western get $5 million in rev share, it's okay, now we'll figure this out.
But was Western ever good? Because Williams at least had championships before.
That's a good question. I really don't know what.
Yes, they did. They were a dynasty.
Yeah, Williams is like Minnesota. You were like, oh, you guys won in the 60s. That's nice.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Anyway, F1, love F1. Off to a fantastic start. No booze for Cole liking Max. It's very understandable.
I just throw in the rest of my Notre Dame, Texas, since you saw me. All the same. Lakers, Cowboys.
Cole, it's been a fun 5 minutes. Okay, you're gonna need to leave at this point. Yeah, unbelievable. I can't believe who let you on this program.
Seriously. Especially with Grant and I also being Oklahoma fans, having a Texas fan on here is no bueno. You said you'd wear your UNCG shirt. Did you?
I did.
That?
Yeah, man. I got it on.
Again, why is he here?
Yeah, what's the relation
there? Kind of looks like
there?
Mountain Brook High School, though.
So you guys know Harrison Waddell. He's my cousin. He went there. So I kind of have a little bit of loyalty towards to UNCG and this
SoCon. His career at Samford. So
he did, but just like Riley Leonard, once you go to different school. I got to back you.
guess.
So yeah, it's where you finish.
Riley Leonard did have a Samford basketball offer out of high school, so
Dude, he had a bunch of offers. He was
sick.
he did, yeah.
All right, boys. Let's get to March Madness. So Auburn was announced as the number 1 overall seed. So we got Auburn, Duke, Florida, and Houston as our number 1 seeds. We'll start there. Does everyone agree with the number? Anyone feel like anyone should have any 2 seed that deserved a 1 seed? And then we'll kind of go region by region, pick some Cinderellas, and I don't know, pretty much anything I want to talk about.
If Tennessee had beaten Florida today, they should have been a 1 seed in my opinion. Going 2-1 against Florida with the 2 most recent wins, and everybody was saying that if Tennessee had won, it wouldn't matter. They're still a 2 seed. Doesn't matter because we lost, but in my opinion, we should have been a 1 seed if we'd beaten Florida today. Otherwise, I think they got the 1s correct.
Any 2 seeds that deserve to be a 1?
No.
Yeah.
Maybe Alabama. I don't think St. John's. Definitely not Tennessee.
It would have been sweet though for St. John's.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Are there 3 Vols fans on here, or just Grant and
Just 1.5?
Just me.
Okay. I thought Tennessee's a great team. Dude, Florida just looked that much better this game, and then
Florida's a wagon right now.
That blowout game was something else at Tennessee. I was looking, holy crap, this team is good.
Whoa! It was at Florida, and then we beat them by 20.
You're right.
We beat them by 20 without Zakai Ziegler and one of our other starters. So,
dude, that Florida team this year though, they're
so freaking good. I was watching the game, and like 5 minutes in, it was like a 3-point game, and I'm like, we're gonna lose this game. I can just tell they're a different level of good. It was, we managed to come back. Yeah, they're just long and athletic.
The Rick Barnes effect is always like, I feel like you never really know what you're going to get on offense. Like, the defense is always going to be really good. There have been a couple guys for the past 2 years that they really leaned on, but from like a team standpoint, you're like, I have no idea who's going to show up today.
Yeah,
and lead us in scoring, and that's typically why I feel like his team's playing out. Is you're like, he runs through one guy for all of the offense. The defense is always really, really good to keep them in games. Then in big games, you're like, I don't know, can you have more dudes that you can throw in here? And the answer is usually no. So, do I think they deserve a 1 seed if they had won? To your point, Mike, yeah, give me 1 seed. If they win the SEC tournament this year, 1 seed, no questions, but they didn't. So, I don't have any problem with the rest of the seeding.
I agree with everything you just said.
I don't think it's unfair to say, especially in a year where 14 SEC teams made it, that not including Duke or Houston would have been out of the question, and putting in a Tennessee or Alabama. I don't know what the final RPI came out or the net, but how do you have 14 out of... You have almost the entire conference in the tournament. And
do you feel really bad if you're at LSU right now? Like, I could have gone to almost any other school.
Yeah, they're South Carolina and LSU are the shame of the SEC. At least South Carolina's women's. At least they're a wagon on the women's side.
LSU is too, but yeah.
Well, LSU is women's team too. Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
That's what they got all their resources on the other side.
No NIL left for the men's team.
No, not at all. Same thing y'all said. I don't have any issues with the current ones. I do love St. John's 30-4. I just love the way they play and how they're number 1 in defense per Ken Palm, right up there with Houston, Tennessee, and Duke. I just love St. John's. I'm probably not enough for 1. I don't know who you're going to take out of these 1 seats, but yeah, I agree with everybody else. Florida's certainly a wagon right now.
The real question is, Grant, do you feel clean rooting for St. John's? Because
100%,
really,
100%.
Are we a pro St. John's crowd even with Rick Pitino?
Cole, here's the deal. NIL showered off all these dirty coaches and dirty teams. Like, it's just they're one clean organization now.
Look, if it was, I'm with you with paying players.
They just have $1 billion.
Coaches illegally paying players, whatever. That's a lot of the
baller.
Rick Pitino has other issues why we can't root for him. Just to throw that out. He's the reason we have more or less clauses on coach contracts now.
Yeah,
I'm not a big Rick Pitino guy.
You live and you learn. You know,
I felt really scummy picking up in the first round. Let's just put that.
Yeah, come on. Someone did have this graphic, but literally at all of his stops, at 6 different stops, he's taken his team in their second year to have single-digit losses from their first year to their second year. Like St. John's last year, they were 20-13, finished 26-4. Even Iona, they were 12-6 a year ago, and 12-6 in COVID play. They turned around 25-8. Like he just I've turned a complete 180 on how he just turns around programs super quick, and obviously money helps, but still going from 26-4 is pretty sick.
He's an absolute legend. He's one of the best to ever do it in college basketball as a coach, but I still don't like him. I'll give, like I said, give him all the respect in the world.
Perfectly fair.
He's incredible, but yeah, not a fan. So.
Yeah, I can't argue with you there. But
all right, so we're starting in the South region. The one team you cannot, or one matchup you can't see is Michigan State Bryant, assumingly, and Marquette, New Mexico. Assuming Bryant wins that one, but what are kind of the matchups? I know on the broadcast, and CBS does a remarkable job of the selection show. I think it's short, it's to the point, it's everything you want, and then everyone gets to go, fill out their brackets. It's the polar opposite of the CFP selection show, which is just the most drawn out, dramatized. I mean, it's ABC. It makes sense, right? They got The Bachelor too. But matchups on this side in the South region that really stick out.
I think Texas A&M and Yale's kind of one to look to. We all remember Yale winning last year. A&M's kind of faltered down the stretch. I want to say they lost like four in a row before winning their final regular season game, lose to Texas in the SEC title game. So I think that's one to look at for sure if we're looking for like upsets in this part of the bracket.
That would be awesome if Yale pulled back-to-back years.
The one I loved is Michigan and UC San Diego. I think UCSD had like the second highest margin of victory in the entire country for the whole year. And it's not like, I don't think the conference they played when I looked at it it's not particularly strong, but still, that's pretty impressive to see. Like, they're one of those teams. I feel like we see it every year in March from these lower conferences who they're used to winning, and they're used to winning by a lot. Instead of reason like you come in and maybe you just have a game where you can bomb threes at 50%, right? So, yeah, I actually picked the upset there. UCSD over Michigan. So that was one that I loved.
And this is their first year where they're eligible for the tournament after moving up from a D2 to a D1. They go 30-4 and run through the conference.
I'm sorry. They moved up, I guess that would have been 2 years ago. And in their second year in the conference, they had the second highest margin of victory in the nation and ran train through the conference. That's wild.
They smoked that conference this year. But it wasn't particularly close.
That's awesome though. And now they get to play Michigan. All right, let's go. What are they? The Tridents?
Yeah.
The Tridents.
All right, let's go Tridents.
You get to hate on Big Ten basketball now because I'm kind of all about that. If you guys want to.
Yeah, I mean, look, picking against Michigan, who's one of the brighter spots of the Big Ten. There's not a whole lot of them. I guess we got Wisconsin, Michigan, Michigan State, and
Ohio
Oregon?
State. Oh wait,
Oregon, Maryland.
And then maybe it, right?
The big Purdue.
That sounds right.
Oh, UCLA.
Purdue, UCLA. Yeah, but
oh yeah.
Okay, there's a few more, and Illinois. Okay, all right,
yeah,
well represented. But is Michigan going to be one of those teams? It looks like on this side, at least, Michigan State, if you're going to have a Big Ten team going to the Sweet 16, it's going to be them.
It's Tommy's own March. I mean, he's hard to pick against.
It's really all you need to say. Izzo, March, they're going to get
it's stupid.
16.
Well, Izzo is the opposite of Rick Barnes. It doesn't matter what kind of team he rolls out there with. But what's cool, guys, is we played them this year. We got to see this team really at the beginning of their maturation. And even then you could tell that this was going to be a pretty solid team because nobody stuck out, especially once we compared it to the Arizona game. No one stuck out athleticism-wise compared to that Arizona squad. But they played so much more fluidly. And that was back in September or October, November.
Yeah,
Michigan, we played well.
Yeah, Michigan State up to 8 in Ken Palmer now. Yeah, we were there till the end.
We were there at the end of that game. Our press was bothering them some. It was a fun game.
I feel bad.
You guys had a very, honestly, a pretty competitive team this year. The wheels just kind of fell off towards the end. But I was a believer, especially in January when like Sam and I was watching the podcast, we were talking about this. I was like, why not? But just, faded down the stretch, typical, I feel like mid-major conference stuff where it's like, for whatever reason, other teams just have your goat, and turns out that way we go through a bad stretch of like 2 months, and it's like, okay, that's it. Like,
if you take away the team in purple, we're probably dancing.
If you go 75% in 2 months, it's just like, that's it. Like, that was our season. And you're like, okay.
So
if we beat UNCG last game of the regular season, we'd probably be dancing right now.
But how
still
much,
hate Furman, though.
How much worse would it have been to lose to Furman in the conference championship?
Yeah, that's so true.
That's
all right.
So
anyway,
true.
So the game that the broadcasters made me interested in, they said Marquette, New Mexico was the matchup with the two best point guards. In basketball, I love watching a good point guard. Easily my favorite position to watch because it's the easiest to watch. They just have the ball, right? That one would be awesome because the Lobos, they've kind of been a hot March Madness team the last few years. And then obviously Marquette has as well. Hopefully one of those teams in the 10-7 can make a run, upset Michigan State, and go from there. But that'll be... We were talking about it before we started recording. This is a tough regional. Not that any of them are easy. But
speaking of Patino, Little Patino is the head coach in New Mexico. So if you want to circle back to that, yeah.
That's right.
He doesn't have the scandals yet, though, so we're okay rooting for him.
Apples don't fall too far from the tree.
They just wait till he gets to Virginia, then who knows what will happen after he takes a Virginia job.
Long.
Is that a rumor right now that he's in line to take that one?
Yeah, Virginia, Villanova are kind of the two that have kind of been right there with Odom from Utah State and VCU now, who was Utah State before. He's another one of those guys who's up for one of those two jobs.
You know who Villanova wants, apparently, that I heard on Friday? They want Chris Collins, which I was like, why?
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
Why, though?
What was Northwestern's record?
I'll be they were not good. They're in the tournament, didn't you see? Like, yeah,
we have them in our Final Four.
No, they were terrible. They're not terrible, but they were like middle of the pack, Big Ten. I think lower.
Yeah, maybe Chris Collins goes to Nova, Porter Moser goes back home to Chicago and Northwestern. Maybe that's something that kind of gets worked out there. But who knows?
Send him back.
I think we have my lovely alma mater has 2 tournament appearances. We beat Vanderbilt that one year.
That's right.
But we're bad. Chris Collins has been bad. I don't really understand the appeal behind it. We don't even recruit kids from Chicago. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Cole, they don't have basketball players in Chicago. You don't.
Yeah, I know. This is no one cares about basketball. No one.
That's right.
There's
not even an NBA
it's
team.
Hard to find kids, but the Chris Collins, the Villanova rumors. I was like, why? It's your Villanova. Why? But
all right, who's our champion in the South? Is everyone rolling with Auburn, or does anyone want to get a little spicy?
Auburn.
As much as I would like to.
Really? Wait, Mike, you picked Michigan State?
Just because I like upsets, I'm going Izzo. I've actually got Michigan beating Auburn in the Sweet 16, and then a classic Michigan State matchup in the Elite Eight.
That'd be sick.
With Michigan State going to Final Four. I think that this whole region it's gonna be tough to get through. I mean, even that second round matchup, Louisville-Creighton. Both are solid programs. Yeah. Louisville second in the ACC this year. Creighton always around.
They still have that 7-footer.
Still got the 7-footer.
Yeah, Kalkbrenner. Yeah.
So, I mean, Auburn's also been slipping lately. Obviously, lost yesterday to Tennessee in the semifinals of the SEC tournament. But they've lost 3 of their last 5, something like that. I know they lost to Alabama, lost to Tennessee.
The Samford of the SEC.
I was a little bit shocked that I feel like Auburn had that 1 seed cemented, but I wouldn't have been shocked if they put Duke up at the 1 overall, given the downfall in Auburn the last couple weeks.
I was surprised they didn't just put
Who knows
Florida.
if Baker Mazzaro is going to punch somebody?
Well, that's true. I don't know what's up with that dude. He could be so good. He could be so good, but he costs his team.
And he has another year left because of the Pavia JUCO ruling. He can come back next year. He'll be 42 years old. And
all right, wait. So Grant, what's your pick? Who's your pick?
Screw it. Let's go Michigan State. I like Michigan State. Okay. I think Auburn slips up, like Mike said.
Okay. Yeah, I was going Michigan State. So 1 Auburn, 3 Michigan State's probably going to be Auburn. Let's scroll down to the West.
I'll defend my Auburn pick there. There's no way. I don't think there's anybody on this side of the bracket that I'm like.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
That's fair.
Looking at it as is, yes, Auburn should roll. The West bracket. So this is another tough one because Texas Tech is really good. St. John's is really good. And your 7-10 matchup is Kansas Arkansas. It's like two.
That's insane.
I'm not gonna call Arkansas a blue blood, but a blue blood and a blue blood wannabe. Going at it at the 7-10. Memphis at the 5. 2-time back-to-back defending national champs UConn at the 8. I mean, this is kind of a Maryland. Like, this is an absurd region. So, let's start with matchups y'all are most excited to watch, other than UConn, Oklahoma. Grant, we'll start with you.
I think, like you said, you got to go to Kansas, Arkansas. You go to Self against Cal. Heck, even if one of those teams wins, you're going to have one of those guys against Cole's boy Patino right there after they beat Omaha.
It's epic.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to Kansas, Arkansas. I kind of like Missouri Drake. I think Drake can beat Missouri the way they kind of like slow the game down, and they play pretty well, even though their coach is kind of looking at other jobs as well. But yeah, I think Kansas and Arkansas is the one to look forward to. Besides the UConn OU, obviously. But yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, that Kansas Arkansas should be good. Two of the greatest of all time going at it in down years to their standard. Mm-hmm. Kansas obviously has had an awful year compared to what they were expecting, and then Arkansas still trying to build that program, but they've got a healthy team for the first time in a while, I think, and I think that would just be a fun one to watch for a first-round matchup. You're never going to see that again.
No, it's awesome.
Those two coaches in the round of 64, yeah.
It's awesome. Cole?
I like Memphis, Colorado State. I have Memphis winning, but I think that one's going to be a good game. Watching Memphis against UAB, I thought they looked good, but they look beatable. And as a 5 seed, they're kind of coming out of it. I always look at the American, like the who cares conference. Like they're that mid-major that you're like, you guys should probably be better than you are, 100%. Right? Like you don't really get that. But they don't get that pass. I feel like we give some of the other mid-major conferences where it's like you have some of these names. You're like, again, like Memphis. You're like, you guys probably should be Gonzaga, right? Like you should be a better, more competitive program. And I didn't think they looked particularly strong this year or today. So maybe Colorado State pulls off the upset. That one's gonna be fun to watch, though.
Yeah, and their point guard Tyrese Proctor was out with a foot injury today. Still ended up beating UAB. Samford has 2 wins over Wofford, which is more wins than UAB has over any tournament team. So UAB did not beat a single tournament team this year, and Samford beat Wofford twice. I just wanted to throw that out. I tweeted that out today. I just want to point that out.
They were one game away from making it in.
I love that stat, Grant. That is a fantastic stat.
Petty, maybe, but factual.
Cole, you're right. Memphis and a lot of those American teams should be so much better. And Memphis blips. But the fact that they've recruited, I think they've recruited 3 number 1 overall NBA picks in the last since going back to Derrick Rose. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, bro, not a Duke, not a UNC. That is crazy. Not a Kentucky.
The Penny Hardaway hype was real when he first came in, and they've underperformed ever since. But it's strange. Like right when their recruiting starts to kind of slow down, they start to ball out, and maybe that's just NIL, but he's finally settling in and I think learning how to coach in the collegiate level because he was a high school coach before this.
Yeah, the NCAA definitely derailed that early momentum when they barred whoever the stud recruit they signed was.
He was
the number 1 overall recruit, and they said you can't play. I think he might have gotten like $10,000.
James Wiseman.
Yeah, James Wiseman. Yeah.
Yeah, what's he up to? Is he in the league?
No. He was on the Warriors. They traded him to the Pistons. He was bad everywhere that he went, and then they put him down in G League. They tried to G League him for a little bit, bounced around, but he just never amounted to much. But he was like the best recruit in the country.
Yeah.
Memphis had him. And then, yeah.
All right, so West champion. Everyone rolling Florida, or does anyone want to pick Tech or St. John's?
Oklahoma, obviously, on the white.
I don't know what you're drinking tonight, but might just want to transition to water, buddy.
I prefer not to answer. Yeah, probably Florida. I mean, they just been. Again, I still love St. John's. I keep saying that, but I still think Florida is kind of the wagon, and they'll get there to San Antonio.
They're so good.
They're ridiculous.
I'm going St. John's purely out of spite. Florida's so good.
Yes.
But St. John's plays similar to Tennessee on the defensive side of the ball, and their defense can disrupt Florida enough, and they can figure out a way to get some rebounds. Who knows?
Cool.
I think it'll be Texas Tech, like, against Florida. So that's, like, I have Kansas because I'm a Kansas homer. So I have Kansas winning. But I think Texas Tech is good enough and has just, I don't know, I have a feeling about Texas Tech this year.
They're
beating
filthy.
Kansas. Yeah, like, getting at least to the Elite Eight. So I have Florida going to the Final Four, but I think Tech will give them a run.
I mean, the thing that we got to remember, so yes, the SEC was dominant, and the ACC was down, but the Big Ten was fine, and the Big 12 was pretty normal, hyper competitive across the top.
Did you say the Big Ten was fine?
They're fine. Like, they didn't have the Zach Edey Purdue team of last year or any kind of powerhouse unit like that, but we just ran through them. They have like 6 teams in the tournament or 7 teams in the tournament. Which,
yeah, I think it's based on reputation, though, not on.
Oh, really?
It's the same thing we talk about every year when we're looking at football, and you're like, I know the Big Ten just won again, national championship, but the depth of the conference,
back to back,
you're like,
the top is good, but everything else is mid.
And even the top this year, I'm like, if we're going to say the ACC is down with Duke being as good as they are, then the Big Ten is very down because the best team is Michigan State, and I think that they have tons of magic, but like
there's a lot of parity at the top.
Great basketball. Yeah,
I don't feel now as good about Michigan State because they didn't just run train through the Big Ten tournament.
8 Big Ten teams. Yeah, went Cal and Oregon. Yeah, second behind the SEC.
Oregon was Big Ten too.
Anyway, my ultimate point was that the Big 12 was still a solid basketball conference this year, a very good basketball conference this year. And so Texas Tech, I think they said on the broadcast, had one top 5 scoring offense, something like that. Maybe top 3.
Top 6 in KenPom when it comes to offense behind Missouri. But yeah, they're one of the top offensive teams.
So scary good offense, really good coach, very experienced program by this point now in the tournament. So they would be awesome to see upset Florida on this side. But St. John's,
NBA level offense in that game would go like 120, 115.
Here's the deal.
I bet the over in that one.
If Florida doesn't win the Natty, they're going to lose because they go cold. Like, it's not. I don't think the other team. I don't think anyone is capable of just beating them straight up as they're playing right now, because they just look unstoppable.
Anybody in the field or anybody
in this, like, there are capable teams, but if Florida plays like they did the last couple games of the SEC tournament, it's lights out. Like, welcome to San Antonio or wherever the Final Four is this year.
San Antonio.
But I have them as, I think they're the best team in the field, but I could see like you said, I don't know.
So talk to me.
SEC teams, if they make it that far, could also knock them out because I've seen them a couple times. So.
Yeah.
Well, talk to me about Arkansas. So when Cal came over, right? He brought some highly touted prospects, correct? Like, there is on paper elite talent.
Yeah, and Tyson Chicken Money too. Don't forget that.
Well, yeah. Yeah. But you can always spend
Tyson Chicken,
unwisely.
Walmart, JB Hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like also Cal, everybody thinks Cal is like the greatest coach in the game, but like Kentucky, they've lost in the first round how many times under Cal as highly rated seeds?
Sure.
Like he's
this is an
always
underdog.
kind of taken that approach of bringing the one and dones or bring in the transfers and pay him a bunch of money, but in terms of getting a team that can play together, it's been a while since he's really been at the top of college basketball. So
I don't like to have St. John's.
Mid 2000s were just insane.
Yeah,
like
those
mid
2000s. I feel like his reputation in the early years have skewed people's opinions about him.
That's
over the last 5 years.
Sure. I don't like that they have St. John's right there, but can anyone? Because I really want to pick this Arkansas team to make the run like that North Carolina team a few years ago. It was the 8 seed or 9 seed. Because they are, like similar to this, had a weird, up and down regular season, but on paper talent can light a fire at any moment. And all you got to do is win a few games in a row. So,
well, their biggest problem though is they played bad against bad teams. So
I like that.
They played well against good teams.
If I'm picking an upset team, like a team to make a run, if they have the talent to beat a St. John's, if they have the talent to get through a Texas Tech, that would be a fun pick if you're looking for an outsider. But
you're not wrong. They could definitely beat Kansas. I don't think Kansas is any kind of anything this year. They've looked
really annoying that OU
team.
leaves the Big 12 in Kansas's worst year in maybe 30 years, and they couldn't end the streak. But that's an aside. Yeah.
So they can win that first game, but I just don't think they're beating St. John's. If it comes down
I really want to see St. John's versus Florida or Texas Tech versus Florida. Yeah, that Sweet 16 matchup of Tech versus St. John's would be epic. But all right, let's scroll over to the East. So this one is also pretty exciting one with Duke and Bama. And then Wisconsin, the loser of the Big Ten championship game. Arizona, a team we are all familiar with. Oregon, I know nothing about, but I guess they're okay. And then the weirdest matchup to me, Mississippi State versus Baylor. It feels weird to say. It feels weird to see. We're talking about basketball, and it's weird to see Baylor at a 9, and it's weird to see Mississippi State in the tournament. But here they are. And here they're playing.
They have moments this year, man. They look good. That's
they really did. The
entire conference. If they put LSU and South Carolina in here just because, just if they're like they're in the SEC, we're gonna put them in here. I would still be like, they had moments this year where they played decent basketball. Like that, Mississippi State legitimately had a pretty good year. So,
Sam, to your point, the closest spread of games I'm looking at is Baylor Mississippi State. Baylor minus 1.5.
That's wild. It's just a weird game. So let's get to that's my matchup of just I'm very curious to see what it's going to even look like. Cole, we'll start with you. Favorite game on this side in the East?
Yeah, St. Mary's and Vanderbilt for sure. I think like we picked a bunch of 7-10 seeds because normally we expect those to be pretty good games, but I love St. Mary's, like love the WCC, so it'd be fun to see them knock off Vanderbilt.
Oh yeah,
I think. There you go, Mike. There's your pro Tennessee anti Vanderbilt rhetoric right there. But it'd be fun to see St. Mary's knock off Vandy. Yeah, I don't think, like I said, they're not going to beat Alabama if they win that game.
But how sweet would that be?
That'd be awesome. That's what I mean. I love West Coast Conference, so I'm like, cool. I'll run with that St. Mary's game.
See, I kind of like BYU, VCU. BYU is just a fun team to watch. They score a lot of points. They've been on a roll recently. Basically won 8 straight before losing to Houston in the second round of the Big 12 tournament. That included that 91-57 win over Kansas that I was kind of hate watching throughout that one. See, I think BYU VCU would be kind of the one. I love with BYU scores a lot of points, and VCU with a good coach can make some noise as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of 15-2 upsets in this tournament in the last few years, and we don't know how Grant Nelson's injury is going to head into this week. He's Grant Nelson, Alabama's big man, pretty solid guy. So, no, I'm just kidding. But if Alabama ends up winning and Grant Nelson's not playing, then that 7-10 St. Mary's Vanderbilt matchup could be a Sweet 16 berth. Also, you mentioned Oregon. Oregon did beat Alabama early in the season.
That's right.
They also beat – who else did they beat? Another highly ranked team. So Oregon's really not somebody to sleep on. If they can get past first 2 rounds, they could be somebody to contest potential Duke.
Is this the Robert Morris Colonials? Is that who made it? Or is it the...
Yeah, you're right. Wow,
that sounds
good.
right.
It's a good poll, the Colonials.
Oh, no, I Googled it.
Oh,
because
okay,
I thought it was like the Patriots or something.
RMU Colonials.
A heck of a poll for a team out in Pennsylvania. I didn't know you knew your PA basketball like that.
Well, I was wrong. I thought it was the Patriots, but it's the Colonials.
I know they play hockey.
Tools in his 15th season at Robert Morris. Dang, he's a lifer. Right.
How amazing would it be, though, if this is the upset? Bama comes rolling in, thinking they're hot stuff. They don't show up for this feisty Robert Morris squad, who we know absolutely nothing about. It's like the Redcoats. It's the Redcoats versus the Colonials. It's America versus Britain right here. The great upset that's going to go down on True TV at 11:40 a.m. baby.
Doesn't get more American.
Oh
no,
my
it doesn't.
goodness, it really doesn't. Oh man, I hope Bama goes down.
I'll tell you what, Sam. If you want to bet on that one privately, shoot me a text, and we could put some money on that because I don't think that's going to happen. So I'll get you some favorable odds there.
No,
Bama's a 22.5 point favorite. Moneyline Robin Morris plus 2,000.
Hey, let's pay off that mortgage, baby. Let's pay off that mortgage. No, but seriously, looking at this side of the bracket, you know what? You know whose path looks very viable? Arizona. So they get Akron and then Oregon Liberty. So I guess the CBS guys really like this Liberty squad. I don't know. I know
it's their
Liberty
first time tournament, isn't it?
Yeah, that's.
I don't think it's their first time.
That was it not.
It's one of their first times, but
maybe I'm thinking of Grand Canyon.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, another for-profit.
Again, another similar school that are just pumping.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought Grand Canyon did make it before because this was like a story too. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think last year.
I'm
thinking of High Point. Is High Point
High Point's first year? High Point's their first year.
High Point's first year.
All similar schools. All similar schools. All upstart universities.
Another team UAB didn't beat on their schedule to actually get a win over tournament team was High Point. They lost at High Point.
That's tough. That's tough. Hopefully they hit up the on-campus steakhouse after the L, but no. But Arizona's path. I mean, guys, if we really are not believers in this Duke team, the Arizona, like that's the one team they got to get through. Assuming that Oregon and Liberty, as I said, are not that great, because Arizona on paper seems like they could definitely get to the Elite Eight, if not the Final Four. If Bama's not there, Arizona the Final Four, unless Cooper Flag and Duke just turn into an absolute monster.
Okay, let me just say this. At least it was Alabama instead of St. John's, because then my anti-Duke bias would just be going crazy right now with how easy that side of the bracket would have been for them. So I'm happy that at least Alabama's in there, because I still think this is if you like Arizona to come out of this side of the bracket. They never
do it in the tournament. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think 2 of the last 3 years I picked Arizona to win. They lost that first game to Buffalo. They lost the second game. Basically, just putting all your chips in on Caleb Love is not something I would recommend for another person.
But I want to. Every year I want to.
Don't do that.
But they're an underdog now. They're not a 1 or 2 seed, so different story.
Them as a 4 when they against Buffalo.
But they're underdog at a 4, Mike. It's different if you're the Arkansas at a 10. It's like, hey, this is kind of some disrespect.
Yeah, 4 is a down year for Arizona, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Oregon coming out of this one, actually, though.
Oh, really? I like that.
Duke.
Why? Who they got?
Duke's got the young playmakers. Cooper Flagg's had an injury, and I'm sure the ankle will be fine, but you never know. He's also a true freshman. They've got that other guy that's a true freshman who's a solid player, but 2 true freshmen in March. ACC's had a very down year. Duke obviously ran train through the ACC, but how much have they really been contested? Late in the season. So just think, because it's March and miracles happen, I'm going with Oregon.
So is Oregon like some senior laden team?
No, they just had some big wins early in the season.
Gotcha.
Managed to make their way to the Big Ten. So I think they're plenty capable, and they've made runs in the past, and this coach has been there. So again, it's March. You're not going to get, well, ESPN seems to think so, you're going to get all 1s and 2s in the Elite Eight, but it's just not going to happen. So you got to pick some upsets somewhere. Why not pick the upset against Duke that played in the down ACC year and they've got true freshmen on the team?
Cole,
you don't think this is going to be a chalk year, Mike? I think this might be the closest of all the years that we like.
I was watching it like before we recorded, and every ESPN analyst down here in Nashville had, I think, all 1s and 2s in the Elite Eight.
Yeah. That's way too chalky.
That's probably unlikely. Yeah, I think we get the 4 number 1 seeds. You probably have a decent argument this year of them being the best teams in the regional for sure. But yeah, it's unlikely they'll get 1 versus 2 for the Elite Eight in all 4. That just seems crazy.
Cole, but why can't Wisconsin make it to the Final Four out of this bracket?
Oh, because they're in the Big Ten. They're bad, dude. If we're going to talk about Big Ten basketball and Wisconsin being a 3 seed after today's performance, I mean, it's boring, it's slow, it's all the things that are wrong with the Big Ten. And you're like, the reason why this never works out in the tournament right now is other teams can just play better offense. Like, pure and simple. Again, we play really good defense. They slow the game down. They do that Big Ten thing where they run the whole shot clock. We love that here for some reason. I don't think that works.
Weird.
But it doesn't work against teams that are going to come out and, like I said, and then just outshoot you. So if they play against, like I said, if it's a Montana or a BYU or someone who's just like, our goal is to put up 90 points a game, and that's how we're going to beat you. Wisconsin's going to have a hard time keeping up with that pace of play.
Are the Grizz pulling the day one upset?
No, absolutely. But I'm just saying you have a higher likelihood of that happening because of the style of play that Wisconsin has used forever. I mean, the last time Wisconsin, they made the title run in, what was that, like 15 against Duke?
14 or 15, Kaminsky,
Frank Kaminsky.
Decker.
Decker.
Frank Kaminsky.
Y'all are pulling some names.
They put some points up with those teams, if I recall correctly.
Who's the point guard? Dang it,
some white guy, I'm sure, because if you look at Wisconsin, it's 5 white boys rolling out there, which I'm always like,
the entire team is white, basically.
Bronson Koenig was the point guard of that team, along with Nigel Hayes, who is in that starting 5. So
all right, boys, champions in the East. Everyone rolling Duke. Anyone picking Bama? If you do, you're getting banned from the podcast forever. But
I pick Bama because I hate Duke so much. Sorry. It is nothing. Again, this is my non-Southern bias. Like, being up here is I have to contend with Duke fans. John Shire went to a competing high school, and we're like around the same age. I remember watching him play basketball, like at GBS.
That's cool.
Hate the man with every bone in my body.
That checks out.
So I cannot pick Duke. So I don't have the Alabama hatred. It just doesn't exist. So I do pick Bama.
All right, roll tide roll for Cole. Shocker. Grant.
I still think it's Duke as NBA teams try to play capture the flag, losing games so they can get Cooper with the number 1 pick. But I think Duke could find their way out of him.
Capture the flag.
I like that.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it, capture the flag. Yeah.
Mike.
I already told you I've got Oregon for my bracket just because you like to pick upsets. Duke's a good team. Alabama can be a good team. Kind of feels like maybe it's a Marcus Sears kind of year, though.
Oh, my God.
Into the line for him. He's a baller. He's been around for a while.
You got to respect him for sure. But no, this is not his year.
When Alabama gets hot, they were in contention to be a number 1 seed before losing to Tennessee a couple weeks ago.
Here's a good question.
So,
Sears is the guy that has really needs to get going for them to take that next step.
Alabama made the Final Four last year, right?
Yeah, title game. Yeah.
How many teams repeat to the Final Four?
Duke's for sure done it.
Yeah, UConn, Duke.
Butler did it several years ago.
Yeah.
Florida went back-to-back natties, 05, 06.
Florida, that was 20 years ago. But
did South Carolina, those two, didn't they make
they
it
made
back-to-back
a
Final
random
Four,
run to the
like
Final
5 years
Four? They made a random run. Like,
it was just a one-off.
Yeah, I think it was a one-off. They were like a 10 seed in the East. For the South, they beat Wisconsin again in that Sweet 16 or Elite 8 game to get to the Final Four. Yeah.
Not make it to the national championship. Yeah, that's 2017. They made it to the Final Four and that was it.
Well, I think the odds are stacked against you unless you are a blue blood program. Out of the names y'all listed, Butler was the only exception that I remember.
And that was a legendary Butler team with Brad Stevens.
That was a run. That was a run. How they didn't win the national championship.
Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, Hayward, and then who was the other guy, the guard?
Oh, wait.
Ronald Norad was another guy.
Yeah, maybe. That was legendary.
Villanova, they got 2?
Villanova feels like they did because they won 2 national titles in 3 years.
Yeah, I think
North Carolina did it when they lost to Villanova and then came back and won.
Yeah, we said UNC,
Gonzaga.
Duke.
Okay.
Kansas has done
Kansas.
Yeah.
I just think the odds, like having
right.
Alabama, like having Alabama and Auburn go back-to-back Final Fours seems impossible.
Auburn was only. I don't think Auburn's been in the Final Four since 2019.
Yeah, that seems right.
They didn't go last year.
I don't think
they lost to Yale.
Lost to Yale last year.
The only year that Rick Barnes or that Bruce Pearl has gotten out of the first weekend at Auburn was the year they went to the Final Four.
So that was 2019. Okay.
and Mike, Shelvin Mack was that point guard for Butler.
Yeah, Mack.
Sorry,
He's a beast.
Earmuffs real quick, but that's been the history of Tennessee, where like they can never make deep runs in the tournament.
The New York Knicks legend,
Ernie and Bernie.
Yeah,
but that's how you like Bruce Pearl. Rick
yeah,
Barnes,
but this is Rick Barnes last year. He's going to retire, and Bucky McMillan's going to take over.
I'm sorry, that was not an indictment on this year saying that they can't make it. That I'm saying in the history of Tennessee,
dang it, Mike, don't speak that out.
They have never made it to the Final Four, which is how I knew Bruce Pearl hadn't done it previously.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
Right. It was not Tennessee bashing. Just
they made the Elite Eight, and I'm pretty sure lost to a Draymond Green buzzer beater against Michigan State in 08.
Oh yeah, 09. Sounds right. Yeah.
Oh, Rick Barnes. We put our faith in you
him.
One more time.
Gotta love him.
Wait, so we had Duke. Who'd you have, Grant? Or we had Bama, Duke, Oregon.
Duke, yeah.
And I'm going with Duke. All right, so Midwest. So a little more interesting of a bracket, especially seeing some football powerhouses like Georgia and Clemson on this one. But we have the best matchup of the tournament, Tennessee Wofford. They're at the bottom, the one we're all just cannot wait for. I think my brother is actually making the trek to go see Wofford get obliterated, which, bless his heart.
Yikes.
But we have Houston, who's just a classic Houston team. Fantastic defense, lacking on offense. Georgia, an upstart basketball program, even though they had freaking Donovan Edwards for how many years was it? 1 or 2 years? Or not? No, not Donovan Edwards. What's his name?
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony
Edwards had a year under Tom Crean where they win like 14 and 18 or something.
Which is crazy. Like Trae Young dragged a terrible Oklahoma team to the NCAA tournament. Anthony Edwards is not eons better, but he's better. So Georgia, just a weird team to see on this bracket. Then Clemson, McNeese, they still coached by
Will Wade.
Yeah. So that's
the American gangster, Will Wade.
That's a fun little matchup right there.
For now, yeah.
Yeah.
Illinois. We never even talked about the playing games, but Illinois, who would they be awaiting?
Texas or
Xavier. Yeah.
Okay, that's what
Marcus
I thought.
Foster.
That would be an interesting.
That's right. Yeah, Marcus Foster.
I mean, Cole,
Trey Johnson.
Are we really selling the Big Ten this hard that neither Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, how many of these teams are even going to survive day one?
The only team. So I have Illinois beating the winner of Texas and Xavier.
Okay.
I think Illinois is good enough to win that game. And then the other team I have making a decent run outside of Michigan State is Maryland losing to Florida. So I think Maryland wins their first 2 games, makes it a Sweet 16. Purdue makes it a Sweet 16. So they're not going to do horrible. I just think we talk about major, the major basketball conferences, and I'm like, I don't believe that there's anybody in the Big Ten. Again, maybe you get some Tommy Zone magic. It's the only team I see making a deep run. So they're not going to be bad.
Is UCLA not? Is UCLA? Do they not have anybody this year? Is this truly a rebuild for them?
They're kind of up and down. I don't know if anybody else has an opinion on them. I feel like they're the team I keep hearing about all the time because of what's his name, Cronin losing his mind every 2 weeks. Yeah, but he's just loud. But I don't know if they're very good. So
he's a loud little man.
Yeah, he is like, it's little. The headlines are like Mick Cronin throws a fit about whatever, and you're like, okay, but what happened with the team? It's like, oh, they won by 2. Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's not the same team they've had recently. And obviously, the year after COVID went to the title game with Johnny Juzang and all those guys.
He was so good.
Oh yeah,
that was a fun Bruin team. So we have them on this side. Kentucky, Troy. So we got an Alabama squad. Feisty Troy team against a solid Kentucky squad. It'd be very fun if Kentucky doesn't have any lottery picks on this team, correct? It would be awesome if they made a deep run as the anti-Cal team.
They can really shoot. I mean, if they're hitting their shots, which is what you want in March, if you're good from 3 and you're making your shots, Kentucky could make a run.
Yeah,
they went 2-0 against Tennessee, so.
I was going to say, you're going to hate this, but that's who I have in the Final Four. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, because they've got really tall guards, athletic guards, so if you don't match up well against them.
Yeah, and Butler should be back. He got hurt in the Oklahoma game with the shoulder injury. They say he's going to be back for this first game against Troy.
All right, so let's start matchups. We're looking forward to seeing Cole. We'll start with you.
Gonzaga, Georgia, for me. I'm a big, like I said, West Coast Conference fan. Love Gonzaga basketball, so it'll be interesting to see what they do in that first game against a Georgia team that we know is good, and Gonzaga who's having kind of a down year for how good that they've been in recent history. So I'm excited to watch it. I think they're going to get blown out by like 20, but I still want to see what they do in this tournament, just because every year I don't pick them, they go to the Elite Eight. And then every year I do pick them, they lose in first round. So I did pick them, which means that they hopefully will make a deep run.
I don't know if we can handle Georgia. I certainly can't handle going into the office, Georgia beating Gonzaga, because Gonzaga is such a good basketball brand. Everyone's going to be like, they're going to be on the floor of the office barking, all this crap, and you think I'm joking. And I'm not joking. I wish I was joking. Grant, matchup you're excited to see?
I think you got to go to Clemson McNeese. Will Wade, head coach for McNeese. He's up for the NC State job. Really should be up for the Texas job when that opens. But I don't know if the SEC and Texas will do that with his passing one. I mean, even though that stuff's illegal now. But McNeese, Clemson, Wade against his former. He's an alum of Clemson. He went to Clemson. This is a lot better matchup than Gonzaga for them last year. Gonzaga last year was just too tall and too big, and McNeese wasn't big enough. Clemson point guard Dylan Hunter is out with a broken hand, so that could play a factor as well. But I think
that's not good at all.
Yeah, so McNeese was kind of the darling last year, but like I said, they're playing Gonzaga, a much bigger Gonzaga team. I think they can hang with Clemson this time around. So I think that one, and then High Point could be interesting against Purdue, another Big Ten team we keep talking about.
Mike?
Well, obviously Tennessee's in this one. There are a lot of matchups I'm afraid of as a Tennessee fan. If we lose to Wofford, I might just stop watching basketball for
I think you can relax on that one, buddy.
Yeah,
I hope so too. Okay. They were really hot in the SoCon tournament.
Something tells me Filowich ain't going to be doing much.
No, I think we can handle it. We lost to Kentucky twice, so I really don't want to have to face Kentucky. And we beat Illinois, but on a last-minute buzzer beater at Illinois early in the season. So if we're going to play any of those teams, those are good matchups. Last year, everybody had McNeese State or McNeese winning in the first round, and it didn't happen. But I think I'm going McNeese and Will Wade to win against Clemson this year. Will Wade's a great coach. Hated him when he was at LSU.
Of course, everyone
had some great matchups against Tennessee. But Gonzaga's made how many consecutive Sweet 16s? It's been a lot,
8 or 9.
So they might lose to Georgia, but if they beat Georgia, I think they're surely going to lose to Houston. I think that defense will be too much for them to handle. This honestly seems like maybe the easiest region.
Yeah, I think so.
But there are a lot of solid teams. I mean, Purdue, always well coached, not as good as they have been without a troll from Canada.
Zach Edey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Gonzaga has been to the Sweet 16 9 years in a row. 2015 to 2014, not counting COVID, obviously. But yeah, 9 years in a row they've been to the Sweet 16.
And if you remember last year, Samford would have played them if we'd beaten Kansas.
That's right.
You guys got robbed against Kansas,
We got robbed.
We got worked against Purdue that year, so it wasn't like it was going any further.
Yeah, you got worked by Purdue in October. Well, I don't know if that really counts.
It wouldn't have mattered. Edey ate us alive. Houston seems like they have a cakewalk to the Elite Eight, barring just a phenomenal performance by Gonzaga or Georgia. I just don't see any of those teams. The only teams on this side I see challenging them are Kentucky, Tennessee, and then I mean, maybe UCLA, just because they're a good program.
Yeah, the bottom half of this region is way more competitive than the top half. I think Houston has the easiest path.
Like Utah State is not bad. Seed. And neither is Troy.
No.
Like out of the 14 seeds, Troy's probably the strongest. I say that. I'm going to look to see who else we got. Yeah, UNC Wilmington.
Clemson's a weird one though. Clemson, I feel like had a very good quiet year this year for a team that we don't usually look out for like good basketball. So that's what be. I agree with your assessment. I think the bottom half is much more competitive. I don't see Houston losing to any of these teams, but Clemson is the only one I'm like, it could be scary for Houston to play.
And Clemson plays physical. So they stylistically, do match up well against Houston, and they're grinders. So yeah, that's fair. If Houston's going to lose,
Kentucky, though.
it's Clemson.
It'll be Kentucky. Sorry, Michael. It'll be Kentucky. I think Tennessee's really, really good, and I hope they make a run. But my money's on Kentucky to just come out.
We'll see. You said, Cole, you're going Kentucky to the Final Four or to the Elite Eight?
Final Four.
Wow.
Mike?
I've got Houston. Tennessee in the Elite Eight, and Houston beating us.
No, dude. Tennessee beats Houston. Like, this Houston team is not going to the Final Four.
I would, if it was Tennessee Houston, I would probably pick Tennessee.
Well, I just can't.
You have to against your emotions. Yeah,
Michael,
I appreciate that.
I don't want to. I had Samford winning it all last year. I'm gonna have Oklahoma winning it all this year. Mike, you gotta have Tennessee, dude.
It would be beautiful.
No, man, you did good. Don't pick with your heart. You're doing fine.
Yeah, don't pick with your heart because it's sports and it really matters. Grant.
Yeah, I think what I've been saying, Houston, with the path and the way they played, they're number 2 in defense, top 10 in offense. At Ken Palm, just how stacked they are. Sampson always has his guys ready to play. He's got a bunch of dogs on that team that know what it takes, especially with Uzan taking that big extra step after leaving Oklahoma last year. Yeah, I think Houston can semi-walk to the Final Four.
Yeah, it would be awesome if the Cougs could finally do it and win the national championship again. I'll be cheering for Houston to get there, but I got the Vols. I think this is the year they break through, because Rick Barnes, the days are numbered, brother, and he's got to punch through at some point.
Tennessee could lose in the first round, or they could win the whole thing. You can say that about most teams.
They're not going to win the whole thing. I will pour water on that right now. There is a 0% chance that Tennessee wins it all this year.
All right,
so there's a 0% chance they win it all. There's a 0% chance they lose in the first round. So.
They won't lose in the first round.
It's going to be a fun ride, Mike.
You know these Tennessee teams, Michael. They'll put up 120 points in this first round game, and you will say, "Hey, this team could win it all. They just beat the crap out of Wofford by 100." And then the next round, they're going to come out, and you're going to be like, "How is Tennessee in a 2-point game against UCLA with 3 minutes left?"
Exactly.
That is exactly
what's going to happen. We're either going to lose in the round of 32, or we're going to lose in the round of 16 when somebody upsets somebody else, and we're favored by 20 to make it to the Elite Eight, and somehow we blow it. It's just what we do.
All right, national champion pick. Mike.
I've got Houston. Houston's going to be hooping.
That'd be a good
I love defense. They're second best defense, arguably first best defense in the league. They've been around for years, and I just think it's time for them to finally cut down the nets.
Yeah, it is time. They've been knocking on that door literally for several years. And I know the city would go hype. I mean, I remember when we lived there and they had just kind of made the comeback to being relevant in basketball. People were having like yard parties watching the games outside because, it's 75 degrees in March in Houston. So that would be a fun one.
Sorry, guys. Before we keep going, I have some breaking news across the wire.
Oh, no.
Nothing coach related. Samford has found themselves in the NIT. They'll be playing basketball in the NIT starting Tuesday or Wednesday night.
No way. We got to the
sick.
NIT. Well,
yeah, that's dope.
How?
Chattanooga, Furman, and Samford are all in the NIT, and the bracket is out. Samford will play at Samford will play at George Mason on March 19th when this comes out, Wednesday night at 6:00 Central Time.
I guess we're doing 2 episodes this week. I guess we got to do an episode tomorrow night
on ESPN Plus. Samford is playing George Mason on March 19th, 6:00 at George Mason.
Whoa! That's sick.
That is sick.
My question's how, because
all these teams are these teams are not going to the NIT.
They're declining the invitation.
Mm-hmm. Now, why that is, I've never understood.
Yeah,
does that mean we get to watch Ryland Jones play basketball again?
Yeah, that's high.
Why do teams decline the NIT invitation?
I don't know.
I just don't see the purpose of being like, oh, we don't want to play in a postseason tournament. Like, what was that for?
Like TCU played in the NIT and made it all the way to Madison Square Garden. It was sick.
Yeah. This NIT bracket's kind of hype, actually. Samford, Chicago, San Francisco, Tech, UAB. I like a lot of these teams.
UAB.
Yeah, UAB is playing at St. Joe's.
This tournament's like Dayton's in it. Bradley's
Samford
in
gets
it.
to play against KD Johnson in basketball.
I did not know he was still playing basketball.
So yeah, playing basketball still.
Okay, well, we'll have to record another episode tomorrow, so buckle up, boys.
High Point, by the way, was the runner-up last year in the CBI.
I love that looking up CBI bracket.
I was just curious because I know Northwestern's been in there a couple of times. So.
All right, boys. So, in light of the NIT news, which is now taking over all of my brain capacity, who was our national champion? So let's run through who our Final Fours were. Cole, you had. Let's see. Let me pull the bracket back up. You had Florida, Auburn, Alabama, and Houston.
Kentucky. I went
Kentucky.
all SEC. I think they easily, like I said, played the best basketball this year. It's not Kentucky, it'll be Tennessee, but I do think that the SEC just runs this entire tournament, and the Final Four is going to be the SEC Invitational.
That's an all SEC Final Four, and it's not unrealistic.
Yeah, of all of the, like I said, all the games I watched this year, I ended up watching the SEC the most, and I felt they played the best basketball. So, yeah, Auburn, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky. I think it's Florida beats Auburn. They're just on one right now. I think that's the best team in the country. And then I have Alabama beating Kentucky, which again to me is a toss-up, and then Florida winning it all. So, kind of chalk, kind of boring, but I think Florida takes it.
Go Gators. Grant, who was your Final Four?
Michigan State, Florida, pretty chalky, Houston, and Duke.
And then who's your national champion?
Florida gets it done over Houston.
So 2 votes for Florida. Mike, you said Houston was your national champion, right?
Yeah, I went
who was your Final
Michigan
Four?
State, St. John's, Oregon,
That's
Houston.
Right. You have a fun Final Four. I mean,
it's
I hate
fun
Oregon,
because why try? Why try to get it right, you know? But I've got Houston winning it all.
You're already saying that you're not going to win the Lexus Challenge or whatever ESPN.
Yeah. I clicked yes, please enroll me in this challenge, and it asked for my personal information. I said
no,
not worth it.
I forgot I do have Samford over at San Francisco and the NIT Natty. I know we're going to talk about that, but
yeah, I'm pumped to talk about that tomorrow. We'll have 2 episodes this week, which is wild.
Samford's not done yet.
But I think, guys, I think I want to go just for the story. St. John's over Houston to win the Natty. 2 coaches who've been canned for recruiting violations, going at it in the NIL era. Both backed by single billionaires of their respective institutions. You got to just love the arc, right?
I love college basketball so much.
And
Who are the
Houston,
billionaires? I don't.
Tillman for Houston, and I don't know who the St. John's guy is, but he's in every picture of the team on the bench.
He's not the minister of culture like McConaughey was for Texas. He's an actually
we don't need to go.
guy.
We don't need to go there. We do not.
So you guys are just professional haters. That's all I'm hearing right now.
Yeah.
You're just not figuring this out.
But I think that would be just so fun. But Florida seems like the best team, but I'm rolling with St. John's over Houston. In my heart, go Cougs. But for the memes,
that's what we love the
Patino.
tournament, right? Is like anything can happen. So
yeah. It's going to be an awesome one. So in light, like we said, in light of the NIT news, we'll get to baseball, softball, State of the Bulldogs tomorrow, and our special week. Just as we thought the basketball season was dead, it's back, baby.
They pull us back in.
They pulled us right back in. They got to pull the boys off the beaches, but we'll talk about NIT and everything Samford tomorrow. But hope everybody enjoyed the March Madness special. Cole, thanks for coming on. You are always welcome to join whenever you want.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, no, it was a blast. Hopefully, we'll see what happens with Formula One season. Some dog days in the summer. Find some other sports to talk about while the school's out. So
there we go.
You can definitely come on in the offseason, especially if it is a Mando versus Max. Lando versus Max title race. I really want Leclerc to sneak his way in there, but
or if Ferrari is just horrible and we can just spend an hour trashing, we'll go through the race and be like, remember when they messed this up? Remember when they messed that up? That's also, I could use that therapy session, so that'll be good.
How epic would it have been if Lewis had decided to go back home to McLaren to end his career? It would be insane.
It would have been, but I heard Zach Brown reached out to Max before they signed the Piastri extension. That's what I heard.
Wow.
And he was like, which that would have been something if it was Max and Lando.
That would be epic.
I mean, it would be very boring to watch for the next 5-6 years.
But the 1-2 would be insane.
They would dominate. It wouldn't even be
that's
close.
what would be fun. It'd be fun to see who would win each time. But anyway,
it wouldn't even be close.
We'll talk more F1. Cole, come back on. We a lot of interesting things to talk about this summer. Hopefully, talking about an NIT championship and an Omaha appearance.
Love that.
We can dream. But Stay the Bulldogs is out. We will catch y'all tomorrow in a special episode of the National Invitational. It's gonna be sweet. All right, boys. Stay the Bulldogs is out.